All right, we're going to talk with Cooper over at Diesel Power Products about the difference between a drive flange and a locking hub. All right, so basically we're looking at difference between a typical locking hub, like a Warn 35 spline Dana 60 locking hub versus a drive flange.
Well, and we can keep it broad. Like we're going to talk about the differences just between whatever brand locking hub you have and a drive flange, and some of the strengths and weaknesses between the two of them, and why they're actually pretty good. They're pretty good backup fail safes to have in your toolkit.
Flanges.
Yeah, completely. Have it with you, I think, while you're wheeling, especially if you got a set of regular hubs. Just in case, how many times have you been out full-size invasion, seen someone have a failure on one of these because either it was partial engagement or not turned all the way or whatnot, a part failed, and because of that part failing, they didn't have four-wheel drive now. But they had no front lockers, they had nothing else, because usually front lockers are about the last thing that people throw down on the rig. And the security of just being able to pop this sucker out, slap it in there, know that that's, I mean, it's something that I've seen. I know Stephen Watson, he's rescued a few people with some of those out on the trail.
Oh, yeah.
And oddly enough, he makes those.
Without question, this is going to be the one he's carrying. So
yeah.
I think these are all U.S. made completely. So he has these broached here.
Yeah, and they're just simple. Think about it like if you wanted to take your regular tapered roller bearing style hub and make it a permanent drive flange, that's what this is. This will go in. There's no extra anything, slides in. Your axle shaft slides through the middle. And then this pops in on the outside. You have your cert clip that retains the actual stubby shaft in there. And then your bigger circlip that holds the drive flange in, and then the really nice machined outer with an O-ring groove to seal that off. So you're done, boom, set, and that's some thick. There's some girth to that. Like this is not going to be the part that fails. It's your U-joint next, which usually is way easier to fix than one of these.
Now, while locking hubs are obviously super beneficial because you can easily, but show them the piece, just, for example.
Size comparison, and that's not even really the side. Like the side to look at is for the engagement. So now you have the stub shaft collar, which sits in here. So the stub shaft comes through, held in place with a circlip, and then when you rotate the hub assembly itself, this will align and lock in. So when we're looking at actual drive holding material, you have this collar basically, which is doing the job of this whole thing. So there's some differences. There are things to keep in mind when you're wheeling, so you know how you are with the throttle and whatnot. But the beauty of one of these is you can disengage it when you're off the trail, and now you get your fuel mileage back. They're super simple, been around for years. Warren's been making them for years. This drops in, circlip holds it in place. Your stub shaft sits in here, circlip holds that in place, and then you just have the engagement portion. Has a big spring on it that engages on this, and as you tighten it up to lock it, it moves forward to push this collar in. And the spring's there because the splines aren't always going to line up. So it's going to put tension on it, so when it rotates around, then the splines will engage, and then you're locked. And you have various different styles and types of these hubs, of course, that will come in various different materials and costs and things associated in order to handle up to whatever rigors you have in place. But
essentially, they do the same thing. They lock your axle shaft to your tire, makes for a positive connection, turn your tires, and you go.
And then gives you the option to gain back your fuel mileage. Unlocking the hub. So you got a full-size rig and you're looking for a simple, easy upgrade. There are a lot of aftermarket options for you to take the factory, if your vehicle is equipped with factory locking hubs, and upgrade them to something that will have a different material, whatnot, a lot more strength added to it, in which case you should always be thinking about what the weak link is in your drivetrain components. So if you add somewhere, you're thinking about what spare parts you may need to take with you, or even a set of drive flanges if you got something as simple as a 60 or a 44. But aside from that, we've got various options on the site, Dynatrack, Dynalock hubs, we've got the Yukon hubs.
if you're wondering which one is best for you, you're probably looking at which way you're looking using your vehicle. So if you're staying hardcore wheeling only, these tend to be a pretty good choice. You know, less
Yeah, if
things
it's
to go
staying
wrong.
on the trail primarily, those are
You got
those are a
this
good
one
option.
solid chunk as opposed to these moving materials. This gears broach goes right on this one, but that's your strength is limited to
the size of that
right
and the
there.
material. And if you can afford it, well, these are always a good standby to have in the toolbox along the way in case you run into that sort of failure.